Welcome everybody to the Fall Line with KS and Company. We've got a big night tonight. We've got Leigh Pierini and Karen Haringa here, and I know Angelo and I, before we get on, we have graduated tonight. We finally are into the Yeti cups tonight, man. You've got yours, right? He's got a fancy one though. He's got artwork on it and everything from his artwork.
We're not even sponsored. We're not endorsing them. It just happened.
I'm not sure. I saw Leigh had some kind of beverage there.
It's just, I haven't moved on to the beverage. I'm just drinking a little sparkly.
Right. Well, sometimes we have to take breaks because Angelo has to take another walk to the fridge. You know, Karen's got something there. What's Karen got? Karen's got ice.
Iced tea and lemonade.
All right.
It's either that or very large whiskey.
Yeah, there's ice in here, but it's definitely not iced tea and lemonade. But welcome, ladies. This is a great one. We wanted to have this podcast to get out to everyone to talk a little bit about something coming up. But before we do that, we just wanted everyone to know about the two of you, to kind of know who you are and how you got involved in it. But Leigh, why don't you tell us a little about yourself? Because all I know is you were out west for quite a while after you're here in the East, then you came back and you're on our ed staff here in the East as an examiner. But I know there was a lot of exploits and adventures out west.
Yeah, there's a lot of years between the first. So I started in the East just to a brief thing when I was 19 and got my level 3 at Stowe when I was 22 and moved out west. And I was a ski school director actually before I moved there at Bolton Valley, which was amazing. And I was like a young punk. And then I moved out west and became an examiner at 24, which was pretty young, you know, back then in the day. Like back in 1922 or whatever. and then from there, I moved from the West to Jackson Hole and was in Intermountain as an ed staff for 8 years. And I was the educational chairperson for Intermountain. And then I moved back to the West and was there for a while, a bunch of years. And then we started moving because my husband's work, really. And then we moved to Colorado and I was on ed staff there and on the Alpine Steering Committee and did a bunch of cool things there for 6 years. And then back to the West again, 4 times in the West, which is crazy. And then moved from there to here. So all came full circle, super excited to be back in the East. Like really, we're embracing every ounce of it.
Awesome. And Karen, our person in the office, what is your official title in the office other than you do it all for us when we call?
I'm technically the Director of Member Services and Communications.
Yeah. And what are some of the fun stuff you do away from the office and when you're not teaching with PowerLearn over at Wyndham? I know you just finished that up this morning. You had the big holiday weekend. But
yeah, it was great weekend. I always love being on the hill. So yeah, when I'm not doing that, I'm also a professional musician. I love to ride my bike. We're exploring all the trails, the Mohawk Hudson Bike Trail and some of the other rails to trails areas around here. And we love to be outside and doing whatever we can.
Cool. Now, both of you are on the Women's Initiative Task Force, the national task force that was put together. Now, there was a survey done, and that's where a lot of tonight's podcast is going in terms of the information coming out, and then the Women's Summit coming up virtual. But was the task force formed before the survey, or was the survey done and then the task force, or how did that work?
Yeah, so basically, Karen, was it 2018? In the fall of 2018, Nick and a few others had formed this task force from women across the country. There are 7 of us. And the WIT task force consists of me and Karen and Heidi Etlinger, Carol Levine, our chairperson, Jeff Reclau, Kirsty Rosenfield from what division? Intermountain, Maggie Loring. Am I forgetting anyone?
I think that's everyone.
I said Carol. I think that's it. That's 7. Amazing. And from there, we started everything from our mission statement to what our charge was going to be and what we were looking to do. And we knew that we were going to be advising our operational leaders based on what women's needs are in our association. And what's funny is when you think about what that is we could decide for them if we wanted to go that route. But this group decided that we would be better serving them if we just asked them what it is that they need. So hence the survey came about. And we created that, which, Karen, I don't know if you want to speak to that process.
Yeah, we have evaluated some different areas that we wanted to look at and ask questions about. But then, we sent out the survey in January of 2019, and we ended up with a 45% response rate, which is incredible for any kind of survey. We sent it to all the female members across the country in PSIA, AASI. After we sent out the survey, we also held a few focus groups so we could hear more from women personally. But when we got the results back, we realized just how much women wanted to be able to tell their stories. We went through 5,372 open-ended comments. People took the time to write their thoughts, and it just really made us realize women need a voice, and we have a lot to say.
And so out of a lot of that in the survey was originally it was going to be an on-snow women's summit here in the East, right? And Karen, how did it evolve? I mean, we know because of COVID, but how did you and the task force figure out how you were going to transform that to put it on virtual? Because we have that coming up, February 28th and March 1st. What was the process there?
We had been going full speed ahead, planning for an on-snow summit. And then when it became clear that the pandemic was going to get in the way and we couldn't hold the kind of large scale event that we really wanted to have that was, really reflective of the community and spirit, of previous women's summits. So, we decided then, that we had to really turn on a dime and start planning a virtual summit because we wanted to continue the spirit of what's been going on before us. We didn't want it to go another year before we had one. So this is a great way for women to be able to, first of all, learn, which is something we found out in the survey is really important to women. But it's also a great way for us to share that community that I think we all enjoy. And Leigh is the chair of that planning committee.
Oh. So Leigh, when you started to plan the virtual summit, I don't know what the keynote speaker and your last speaker were going to be for the on-snow, but did that change or with the speakers you have now in terms of our keynote or what are we calling the first day speaker there? It's on
our opening keynote.
Yeah, opening keynote.
Yeah, it's a really good question actually, because, when we were planning for the in-person Stowe event, if you can imagine, we wanted to really showcase what New England is all about, not to mention the Eastern Division in general, but just the beauty of Stowe and a lot of that. We wanted to have some local presence from Stowe. So, and we still are going to, and we didn't want to really pull all of those special things about our Eastern Division and bring it into the virtual. We decided that, hey, the sky's the limit. We can really open it up since it is a, e-learning kind of environment that, hey, why don't we start thinking a little bit outside the box and not just have the usual Alpine, big headliner or someone who's just really strong in leadership in our association. We decided, why not get some, really kind of obscure or diverse or some women that have paved the way, like trailblazers, really. And we ended up having Julie Foudy is going to be keynoting on the opening, and Devin Logan is our closing keynote. And both multi-Olympic athletes.
Yeah.
And Julie Foudy's in the Hall of Fame, Soccer Hall of Fame. She really... It's just, they're both incredible and we're super excited about it. So
Yeah, I mean, for me, I watched more of the women's soccer on the World Cup level and watching them in the Olympics than I had the guys. I mean, how many have the guys not even made?
Right.
so it's like you couldn't even watch them. So it was neat watching and the atmosphere they created through that whole thing. Definitely trailblazers. So and to get to that point that you got to the summit and these folks, and there were some things that came out of the report, the Women Belong on the Mountain report that came from the survey. And would one of you like to talk a little bit about a few of the things that came from that report?
Why don't I start with one of the things that really stuck out to me? 85% of the women that we surveyed chose the opportunity for skill development as their why for staying engaged in the organization. And, I just thought that was really significant. We obviously want to learn, we want to grow, we want to get better. And, and it's really important, I think, if we're looking at keeping women in this organization and bringing in more women, it's going to be really important for us to encourage that, to make opportunities for that skill development.
Yeah, something that really stands out to me, coming from the educator side of our association, having so many years of experience there, just hearing what they had to say about traits of trainers on, the make or break moments of why they stay or why they leave the organization. And I mean, just in general, if you look at our organization, how it's made up, only 30% of our association is made up of women.
Right.
And when you think about the levels of certification, it's kind of like 50-50 when you're looking at the level ones and the both alpine and snowboarding side of things. And then as you move to level twos, the ratios shift. It goes to like maybe 40% women and the rest are men. And then you go to level threes and only 22% are women. 78% are men at level 3. And it's kind of eye-opening a little bit to be like, okay, why are we not either retaining women or fostering or looking for ways to grow more women at higher levels of certification and beyond? So that whole section in the report is really fascinating to me and really big opportunities for growth for us.
Yeah, because it was 6 factors that really came out of that. And I asked you guys first versus, hey, what are the 6 factors? Because I wanted which ones hit home. And it's kind of that same one for the both of you, that 85% of the respondents were looking at professional development, and the traits of the trainers were all under that kind of one heading of one of the 6. And then I think another one that jumps out to me in those 6 was mentorship. That mentorship was a big thing they wanted. And Karen, what were some of the women's thoughts on mentorship and what they were missing, what they were looking for?
I think we found that women want mentors, but they don't necessarily have to be female mentors. Although a lot of women want that connection. But yeah, I think some of the other things that we did, we looked at other studies. And the other studies really highlighted the fact that mentorship can help retain women in the organization, in any organization, any company. People develop resiliency through that relationship with a mentor. There's skill development that happens there. There's support. There are a lot of factors that play a role with a mentor. So we think that's going to be key moving forward. To really increase mentorship. A lot of women said that they would be willing to be a mentor, but, they haven't yet because they don't have the time. I think we can all relate to that thought. But Leigh was one of the people who looked at that mentorship section pretty carefully. Do you have other thoughts on that, Leigh?
Oh, I have so many, but we don't have the time. But yeah, it's really what's super cool about just the Women's Summit, if you look at, again, the On Snow Women's Summit, what a cool place it is to have a sense of belonging, which is one of our key findings, that women really want to belong and, create a culture that they do fit in, that it's an inclusive thing. But also, when you think about the Women's Summit, what a great networking place it is, to be. We as women, when you're at your home turf, you kind of walk up to line up, and sometimes you're kind of either alone or maybe there's another woman or two around. But when you look at our overall 30% of women, it gets lonely sometimes. And anytime that you go to an event like the Women's Summit, you're connecting with people that are like you. There's a big sense of they get me, that it's collaborative, and the connectivity is amazing. But what a wonderful place to find a mentor, that maybe that 40% of women from the survey were saying, hey, I don't even know how to find one. I don't even know where to look. I would like one, but I don't know what to do. So that's a really great opportunity to be with like-minded women in our association that have loads of experience and knowledge around, and the support too. So,
and there was one of the other 6 factors was kind of listed as the pipeline, and where are the women coming in and coming up through. And I would think if we can do a better job at mentorship and thinking about the traits of trainers and being aware of that, and training all of our trainers, and especially the men, that we can hopefully, get more into the pipeline. I mean, were there other thoughts, or is the task force thinking about things of how we can get that pipeline fuller from the beginning, not just looking at what we have in the pipeline?
Yeah, I can just briefly talk about this, and Karen, if you want to jump in, but when you read the report, something that we did as a WIT group is we did put recommendations for change for each one of these key findings, and for all of the stakeholders that we had listed. And I mean, they're not the only recommendations out there. Other people can think of some too. But, when you hit on a bunch of the things, Dave, on the pipeline, how are we actually creating more women leaders? How are we creating, more?
Right.
In all aspects of whether it's, becoming ed staff, or becoming a supervisor in your ski school or snow sports school, or wherever. How do we identify with that group, that demographic?
Yeah. Because I know as I go to Angelo here, there's 2 more. We talked just briefly about culture and belonging. That, I mean, everybody wants to belong, and I can see exactly why women would want that, and how you said that the Women's Summit, and you come out the lineup and you're the only female lineup. That's not the most comforting thing sometimes. And then the professional development and mentorship. But Angelo, you've actually been thinking about this, I know, and with a lot of the training going on, the implicit bias, and even the article you have impending to put out, I guarantee you have something you want to talk about or chat there.
I'm curious. Well, yeah, I'm curious about a couple of things. I don't know which one to ask first. I guess we had this experience over the summer, and Dave and I have been working with Karen quite a bit on projects since April or May, when everything got shut down, and everybody agreed that this is a huge bummer, right? We lost the end of the season last year. We didn't know if we were going to have a season at all this year, but then through all that hardship, we started to realize that there were some things that seemed to be an advantage, like as an example, we as a division put out a ton of educational content over the summer, and we don't normally do that, so there were some benefits, and I'm wondering what benefits you think this format will have over having it like a normal summit on snow?
I think that just having the opportunity for people from all over the country. I mean, people can always fly next year. They can always fly or drive or whatever to participate in person. But it's going to be really easy for most people to participate if they want to. It's you can be in California or in some very remote place where it's hard. You have to take 6 flights to get to Stowe, but not this year. You can do it right from your home computer. So I love that part of it, is that it's accessible to people. And this year people are being careful because of COVID, so this gives them an opportunity to keep learning and keep growing without having to necessarily be in a group or something that doesn't feel safe to people. So I love that we're able to offer this. It's fantastic.
Yeah, and just to piggyback on that, some people are saying like, oh, I'm so zoomed out. I can't, there's no way I could just sit at the screen for another minute. I feel like, though, what a cool opportunity to sit and immerse yourself in the thing that we love the most with the people that we love the most. And the cool thing about this particular virtual summit is we have 15 different topics going out in addition to our keynotes. And we have a wellness breakout session as well. And all of it's going to be recorded. So whoever registers, they can just listen to this for Ed Credit whenever they want. If they're not sleeping at 3 o'clock in the morning, they could just be like, hey, I'll just listen to Carol Levine talk about boots and stuff. So, it's a great opportunity and way for people to get educational credit during this crazy time of our lives with this pandemic,
And you said that for me, right? 3 o'clock in the morning,
I did, specifically. Like, I wonder if I should wind down with
Karen's session will be at about 3 a.m. if you want to listen to her. She's going to get on. She'll have some percussion playing, and it'll be early. Yes.
How have other facets of the industry responded to your survey results? I was thinking about manufacturers primarily. I've over the summer heard quite a few conversations about women's equipment and different women's thoughts about women's equipment. And I just wonder if you've had any reactions from outside of our bubble because of your survey.
So far, it's been the contact has been relatively minimal, at least from what I'm aware of. But it's been very supportive. The representatives that I've talked to understand that one of the things we found is that women are looking for both women-specific equipment, but also high performance gear and smaller sizes. We don't want to be left behind by our equipment. We don't want to be held back or get stuck because of it. And so that's one of those things we found is that, so often if you're going to a demo day and you want to try equipment, so often you're trying to demo skis that are too long for you or boards that are just not right. And, I don't see too many places to demo boots, but it's hard to even try on boots if your foot is small. So, but the people in that side of the industry have been really supportive of trying to make a change there as well.
And Angelo knows all about small feet and
I'm laughing because I represent the Lollipop Guild. Like I don't even bother going to demo days. We had a demo days last week, and a couple of people called and said, "Are you coming?" I'm like, "For what? To look at the 190s? Why would I come do that?" I wear a 23.5 boot. You kidding me?
Hey, that's it. Just be like Super G skis for you, man.
That's right.
Oh God, Angelo, I love it. Those little white boots you had when you set them up, those new heads you got.
Oh, but they look like the little marshmallows that come in the Swiss Mix pack.
But Karen, you bring up a great point, because I know that I'm lucky enough to ski with Technica and Blizzard, and they are doing a big women to women program and have been the last few years. And they can tout the old Black Pearl as the #1 ski in the country, in North America. It sells more than anything, women's ski. And that has been a hard thing. We see it with small boots for Angelo, but that's definitely an issue for women in gear on snowboards and skis. And it'll be interesting how we can influence that, because that's something we can try to talk to, but it's hard to. You ski a little bit with the manufacturers, Leigh. How do you think we can go about that other than just pestering them?
Well, it's really exciting. I was with K2 for a long time with the Alliance, and they've been doing a lot of cool things for women and women's skis. And now I'm with Vocal del Bella Marker, and super excited. This is my first year with them. And Barkley, they just started this, just like that, women ripping, just promoting women in skiing and riding. And just, it's super exciting. More to come on that. I think that, when you focus on women's gear and the whole bigger picture of women and who our up and comers are, we want kids to be in the sports, and usually women are connected to the kids that go to the ski resorts. Yeah. So if you keep the women engaged and around and feeling like they belong on every level, gear, programs, inclusion in general, we're going to hit it out of the park for our future, for the industry, So
yeah. Hopefully when we get the on snow version of this, next year, hopefully we can have the women's summit on snow. Maybe we can get some of our manufacturers to come with that equipment. That would be really cool if we could pull that off to even a couple of the brands, because I know definitely some are really diving in now, which is awesome for them to do that. Any other thoughts there, Angelo? Small feet.
There we go. Great. Glad that came up.
It's gonna. Coach would want it to.
I know that American advertisers, this may have been in the 70s, when they came to the realization that women also, for the most part, controlled the household budget. Advertising in our country took a very different turn, and I'm sure it holds true today. But that's where the money is, right? And just seems like another reason to to just really cater to your needs.
Yeah, it's true. And again, referring to the recommendations for change, we definitely threw in there a couple of. You can look at resorts where it's like ski school lessons, just in general, if they're at the exact same time as the kids drop off, like the adult class lessons are at the same time as the kids' class lessons, you're not going to get the moms in the class lessons. It's as simple as that, because they're going to be dropping their kids off, and they have to pick up their kids before the group lessons can end on the adult side. So if we could just be thoughtful on shifting, as easy as just shifting the times, so women or dads that are there can participate. Then you get them in there. They're learning something for themselves. Back to Karen's point, the 85% of women in our association are interested in skill development, educational development. If we can hook them that way and keep that, they're going to feel like they belong. They're going to feel like they have a sense of community, and they can still end their learning and go pick their kids up after a great day of skiing with us or riding.
I think all of those points, they all tie back to that culture and belonging. And as you've been on a bunch of ski schools, Leigh, because we know you've been west and east and west and east, and not necessarily the same ski school when you're out west, but I mean, you don't have to mention any specific, but were there schools that you felt more of that in the culture and belonging was better at some than others? And we don't have to pick on anybody, but
yeah, there were definitely some. I love every school that I worked with, which is incredible. And of course, it all comes down to the people. And sidebar, when people are like, "Which one did you like the most?"
Yeah, just wait. They're gonna send the comments in. Which one did you like?
But honestly, it boils down to the people all the time. You just miss the people part. And there are some resorts that have more money to sink into training programs and have different ideas, or can put weight behind fostering ideas or fostering change or that kind of thing. So some things can happen quicker. But all in all, when you have people that believe in people, doesn't matter how much money you have. You have people that so I mean, are there some that are better than others? Yeah, but at the same time, it's kind of like, what year are you talking about? You know?
Yeah.
And, it's kind of like this report too. Some of the open-ended comments were like, dude, we wrote this stuff 15, 20 years ago. Nothing has changed. It's the same conversation. What is going to be different this time than that time? And what I love about that question or questions that were asked is like, we now, before the majority of people that were listening 15 or 20 years ago were majority women. And now the audience is all of us that are really looking at this report saying, wow, this is incredible how we need to be able to really listen to this. And how can I, man or woman, be looking for ways to hear the women membership of our
about it. Just, we've been thinking about our exams and thinking about the people skills that's coming out in next year's standards. And we already have employed here quite a bit in the East in our exam process. And we've been asking ourselves of each other and ourselves, just kind of, are we aware of ourselves? And I know we had a big conversation last week, Angelo. I didn't know if you wanted to give in your thoughts on that, because yours were much more smarter than mine.
Yeah, my body didn't waste all that protein on feet. Big gray matter.
Yeah, you got it up top. You got it up top, man. I got the squirrel's brain. It's really small.
What was the question?
Yeah. Oh, man.
What were we talking about? People skills.
Well, yeah, people. Well, that and what Leigh was just talking about of, how do the guys? I mean, the guys fit into this huge. I mean, if they say they don't, they're lying.
Yeah.
And and it, don't get it. I mean, because right, ladies. I mean, it's a big part. I mean, when you have about 30% of our membership are women, and luckily, I doubt my own ski school has that many, unless we count all the teenage girls, which tend to be more than the guys in the kids program. But it's still, the guys' numbers. And it's especially, as you said, Leigh, the guys' numbers at level 3. We see that number drop very drastically from 2 to 3 on how many women are passing versus the men. So, I mean, it's, and we talked about this last week, Angelo, what can we do? What are we not asking ourselves, the guys?
Well, and that's part of it, is that guys probably historically have only asked themselves, because if you look at, traditionally it's male dominated. So you get a bunch of guys in the room asking if there's a problem, and they're like, no, of course not, but, it's the same phenomenon when you try to assess your own personality flaws, the Dunning-Kruger effect. You can lie to yourself. It's so easy. So you need outside help from somebody you trust. And I think that, that's what I hear Leigh saying now. It's like, Nick, and probably I imagine a bunch of others, had the foresight or the insight to get you folks more formally involved. And now you have these numbers, and now the old guard is looking at this information with you, and you are that source of outside information, saying, here it is. We love you. We're being honest with you, and there's not equity. So let's fix it.
Yeah.
And it just seems like culturally in this country, 20 years ago, this was a different country and than it is today. And there's been progress in lots of ways and not a lot of progress in some other ways, but it sounds like this is one way where there's been some progress.
Yeah, I mean, just to kind of piggyback on that, and how exciting actually when you look at the national team, for example, and so many teams, there were only one or two females on the team, and with a lot of momentum and strength and strength in women attending national team selections. With all of the disciplines that we have a lot of women, 5 on the National Alpine team, Amy Gann-Bailey, who's first one on the snowboarding team, Emily Lovett on the Nord team. And, even with all of those women, we're still only at 25%. So it's like we still have a ways to go to just represent our numbers. We're so much closer, and it's so great. Even the amount of selectors that we've had at national team in all disciplines, there's more women out there now. So we are making progress. It's just we're just kind of like tip of the iceberg of how many cool things that we can do to foster more women in our association.
Because we have 3 out of our 4 top coaches are women in the East. Is that the number, Angelo? Angelo keeps these numbers for me. These are the numbers he writes down.
Well, yeah, I always throw Murmur in that mix too, because you know who the big hitter, who the heavy hitters are at training, because they're asked to speak, and it's like the people who are asked to speak, most of them are women. But it's Sue and Kathy and Bonnie and Murmur. That's a majority in that room as far as the coaching staff goes. And I just think that's awesome. I think that, that's a tremendous statement for the East, but like they earned it. They all rip, and they're great teachers,
Yeah, we are so lucky to have. And then when you think about who has come from the East too, and women that are on the team, Heidi and Robin, and, come on, East.
That's right. Yeah, it's awesome. And I look at the folks that are going to be leading the sessions at the virtual summit, and obviously it's big hitters, but we got Brenda Kelleher and Heidi Ettlinger, Emily Lovett, Patty Banks, Bonnie Colber, Tanya Thomas, Stacy Garish, Heidi Ettlinger again. She's doing 2. Boom. She's got with Krista Crabtree. And there's Amy Gann-Bailey. She's definitely breaking that glass ceiling. the first female on the snowboard team, and hopefully she's going to do her second term here coming up. And then we've got 2 that have been around here for the East for a long time. Maggie, been out West for a long time. Maggie Loring and Murmur. And Sue Kramer, our coach here, and then Fran Tone.
And we also have Ann Shorling and Jennifer Simpson that's going to be delivering some people skills.
Hope those are the first one I missed. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
And I think I missed Carol Levine, Jennifer Weir. Did I say that right?
Jennifer Weir. Yeah.
Yeah. So, there's a ton of, and some spectacular topics. Karen, what's your favorite one on that list?
You know what my favorite thing is? That after the fact, I'm going to have access to every single one. It's
at 3 a.m.
I wish they were all fantastic, and I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, I think there's a ton there to hit home with anybody. What one are you really looking at, or you're like, I want to watch that one, Leigh? Is there one?
I'm in the same boat as Karen, but I just want to mention that we also, in addition to the ones that you listed, we also have National Ski Patrol delivering a session. And also, snowboarding that you did mention as well. But we also have representation with Patty Banks and Emily Lovett doing a Nordic specific kind of thing, although they're delivering two different topics. So for me, gosh, yeah, it's so hard. Again, the recordings is like, I don't know.
I couldn't pick. Usually I can. Usually I can go, oh, that's the one there I want to go see. Did you look at them, Angelo?
Yeah, I want the recording. I'm going with the recording.
I want the recording.
Yeah.
Hey,
I missed Allie Cummings too. I mean, how can I miss Allie?
I'm curious.
Allie's on that list. Yeah.
Curious about two things. Thing number one is, can you tell folks who are listening how to register, first of all? But the other thing is, are you able to tell how many of the registrants are men? And is it the same as in an on-snow year?
That's a good question. Karen?
I have not. There's probably, we could pull rosters of the event. And I'm sure there's a way to pull the gender. My impression, am I right that the live sessions technically are open to women, and then everyone will have access to the recorded sessions when they're available?
Yeah, that's the way that it was. But we actually haven't had, from what I understand, we haven't had any men that have tried to register, which I don't know if that's entirely true or not. But to register, you can go to the national website, snowpros.org. That's what it is, Karen, right?
Yeah, snowpros.org.
And it's under events, and you scroll down to the women's events. I think it's women's summit. And then you click on it and it says women's virtual summit. It has all the information there. And I do have to just tell you that we all across the country have, for an educational credit, it's usually $20 an ed credit. And this event would have been no different. With 8 credits, it would have been $160 a person for registering. And because of the Nancy Oakes Hall Scholarship Committee and Foundation, that they are contributing to offset all of our costs by 50%. So we're getting the registration for $80. So your ed credits are $10 a piece instead of 20. Which
awesome.
Is awesome.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely awesome. So as we move from the virtual, because I think it's going to hopefully be huge. I think it will be. And I think it's actually going to lead us, if hopefully, as all of us hope, to get back on snow next fall in a full range of everything and be able to travel a little bit more and actually go beyond state lines to do some events that we can actually maybe ski on the same ski resort at the same time, Lee, or I can come to Wyndham again. It's only been this, if it happens again, Karen, it's going to be 3 years that I haven't been able to come to Wyndham. And I'm just going to have to break rules and sneak over because I won't be able to handle 3 years. But, yeah, I mean, but when we do that, I mean, I think this can really lead in with the momentum of this, and people are going to, the women are going to get exposed to a lot more of our top ladies in the organization and then are out there. And with the connection with NSP and these other things, they're going to see, I think, with the virtual, a lot more folks, a lot more ladies that are up there in the echelons that they're going to be able to strive to try to be up there themselves. That I think it'll give more momentum for the on snow. Do you think so?
Oh, for sure.
Karen's shaking her head. Yes. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. I mean, it would be nice to hopefully maybe we can entice some of our manufacturers or ski school directors, especially if they're men, to maybe take watch of this with the taped versions. Because that's the one part that, I mean, I don't think there's an answer, and it's kind of tough with our organization to push ski schools and resorts and that other parts of our industry to do things. We can encourage, but it's kind of hard to drive that bus. I mean, do you think just having them watch this or having them look into it more? I mean, what can we do to switch their light bulb?
Well, that's a good question, I think. And Karen, we've talked so much about, our stakeholders, and membered schools are one of our key stakeholders that we've identified in this report. And I really feel like, I mean, they're, aside from our membership, being the most important stakeholder out there. Member schools are really important to us because they're the ones that have the direct link to our members, right, on a regular basis. So if we can support the member school management and, as an educational body to help them find ways to build and grow in a different, I think that's a really easy home run for us as a overall. What do you think, Karen?
I think the other part of it too, though, is this is really beneficial for schools. Schools want to have women on the staff. Right. Women are often the most requested instructors because so many people believe that women will be more caring toward their young children. And so, very often for any young child, a woman, any woman, as long as you have 2 X chromosomes, that counts, but if you're a school and you realize, wow, if I have more women, to staff these private lessons or these, lessons in the children's center or whatever, it's a win-win for everybody. If they can support the women on their staff and keep them on their staff, they'll have better instructors, more people who can, give these great lessons to kids or to whomever. It doesn't have to be a child, but, the better your staff is, the better your school is going to do.
Angelo's itching, I can tell.
What
do you got, Bubba?
Just looking forward to the results. See what happens afterward. I hope our listeners register, and I hope they encourage other folks to register. I'd love to see have a huge turnout and be able to see the effects.
Yeah. Because I had some questions on there for you guys personally that I think, I don't know, I wanted to kind of find out some of the things that kept the two of you going, still going. I mean, Leigh, you've been involved in so many ways with the organization, the East and the West, education chairperson and division. And what is there certain things or certain experiences or certain support you received that has really said, this is why I stay? Or are you just really determined, which I know you are?
Determination is part of it. I do have to say, I'm the kind of person that it's like, okay, I get in the business because of the passion and the people, right? And then you start to dig into the organization a little bit more, and it's like, there's a majority of it I love, and a couple things I'd love to see changed. And instead of bitching about the things that need to be, I was the first one to swear. Sorry. I thought it was going to be Karen. So instead of being the one to complain about that chunk, my determination is I want to be able to be a part of the change from within. So that was kind of why I pursued my career path. And along the way, I mean, there's definitely been, some hard obstacles, but nothing you can't navigate around. And I have to say, it's not a gender specific thing. There are some challenges that I've had that have been involving women and men, or really golden, beautiful moments of exciting growth and opportunities and pathways from both sides as well that keep me in the organization. So
yeah. And Karen, people hear more about you, I think, because you're in the office and member services director. But I mean, you're a ski pro. You're a certified pro in our organization, have been for quite a while. Teach skiing as you did this weekend and this morning. Did double duty. You went and taught in Power Learn program with Murmur's program over at Wyndham all morning, and then jumped in the car, headed home, and worked office work all afternoon. And then we're taking your time tonight. But what are the things that have kept you as a ski pro? Why do you keep teaching when you could take the weekend off, maybe go skiing? I get that pass. My husband's got to work and be a ski pro, so I can just take the pass, go skiing. But you don't. You're out there doing it. What's kept you doing it?
I adore this. I just think this is one of the most fun ways one of the most fun things to do ever. Just first of all, we're all attracted to it because we love, skiing or riding or whatever. It's just such a fantastic sport. But being able to share these things with other people and help them enjoy it too, help them discover the excitement of the sport and have success at it too. I love that part of it as well. And I love at the end of the day, we can't really do it this year, but those conversations in the pro room where you say, hey, I had this student and I wasn't quite sure how to handle this. And 6 other people say, oh, I had that last week and here's what I did. Or, having that community of people, I've been on the slope, and I've seen a friend with, a group of 5-year-olds. Luckily, 2 of us were available and we ran over to help her. It's, it's that kind of community and support, with all of the people in this business. I just couldn't be more passionate about it. I don't think it's fantastic.
Yeah. So Angelo, before I ask him a couple last things, what do you have there, Bo? I can see you thinking.
I got nothing.
He's formulating. Come on. Hey, I don't believe that. I saw the face.
Angela, while you're thinking, before I forget, because it's been on my mind, I mentioned before, since we kind of have 2 things going on at the same time. We have our WIT National Task Force, and we have our Women's Virtual Summit Planning Group and our STOW 2022 Planning Group. I just wanted to recognize who those people are that are on the virtual summit planning. Karen Haringa and myself, we're on there, but we could not do this. And I'm telling you, we've been meeting every week for over a year with this group. And that is Allison Cummings, Sue Kramer, Murmur Blakesley, and Amy Gann-Bailey, and us too. So we're a really cohesive team with lots of different perspectives, and the collaboration is really thought out and so delightful. It's unbelievable. So I just wanted to make sure that I let everyone know in our Eastern Division that this group, even though it's a national event, because we were planning the STOW event, and they asked if I could chair it, and they said, you could pick any committee members out there. And I said, I wouldn't do it without these guys, because we've been working so hard on everything that it was just kind of an easy flow. So
that's awesome. Yeah. Cause, just to make sure the summit's happening on February 28th, the virtual, and March 1st, the 28th is the keynote with Julie Foudy. And, I think that's probably the most of, the 28th. Am I correct on that?
That's correct. And
then all the sessions will go on the next day. There's multiple sessions in the morning, multiple in the afternoon, and then the closing with an incredible freestyle ski athlete, Logan. And so they can sign up and watch it. Do they have to sign up before that if they plan on watching the recordings? I know the guys will have to do it afterwards, and hopefully they do. But the women, do they have to sign up before that, or they can still sign up afterwards for the recordings?
The deadline is
for the pricing.
Yeah, the deadline is the 26th of this month, which is coming up in about 2 weeks. Yeah. But I also wanted to just throw out there with the list of people that are delivering all those topics, the course conductors. We have asked all of the past coaches for the women's summits that aren't presenting. They're going to be in the rooms with these presenters as well, kind of doing breakout rooms. And so everyone's going to see a lot of familiar faces out there across the country, which is really exciting. I won't even rattle off all of the people that are going to be there, but it's going to be an exciting lineup.
Yeah, I want to make sure we knew that, because I would expect, and I know, see, Karen is the one that Angela and I always ask these questions because she always has the answer, that the women really should sign up by the 26th of February, because that's going to be the special pricing thing, correct? And because after that, anybody can sign up, but to differentiate, Angelo might go in, I have small feet and I want the price gap after the fact, and you can't do that. So yeah, I would encourage all the women to get in there and sign up before the 26th, because it's under the Nancy Hall Oaks scholarship thing, which will help out with that, make it extremely affordable to do the virtual. And then all of us guys will pay our dues and pay for it afterwards. You hear that, Angelo?
I heard you.
Okay.
So everybody listening to the podcast heard you, Dave.
Just checking, man. I just remember that one podcast that I guarantee both women might have seen it. If they didn't, they have to go back and look. When you were mentioning Sue Kramer's skis were right in the background. And she definitely said they'd be your size. Perfect. What were they, like 142s or something?
38. They were 150s, I think.
Yeah. But we always towards the end, and Angelo comes up with more of these than I do. He comes up with some really neat, just to get to know you guys and laughs. And what are fun parting questions for them?
Guilty pleasure late night snack food.
Hi,
Right.
Karen.
So it's called a brookie brownie, and they sell it at a local grocery store, and I don't even know what it is, but yeah, it's really decadent, and it's I've been known to be just a little bit of an addict. Yeah.
A brookie brownie. Is that what it is?
I don't know if that's like a general name that people know about, but it's a combination of chocolate and something else, and it's that combination that's just outstanding.
What I want to know is what you consider to be a late night snack. Like, what time is late night for you exactly?
Late night is probably 2:00 in the morning, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're trying to work on her getting to bed earlier, but I don't know.
Yeah, I know. Don usually is waking up to let her know it's time to go to bed, and he's getting up making the coffee.
That's right.
All my years as a professional musician, I got wired so that when I'm awake at night. I'm used to being on stage, between 8 and 10:30, and that's when my brain comes alive finally.
I know. I get a lot of emails at 12:30, 1 a.m. I'm like, Karen was working last night. Oh God. What's your late night snack there, Angelo?
Popcorn, ice cream, chips. I don't really differentiate. I love all food.
Whatever's in the fridge.
Whatever.
Fridge cupboards.
Whatever's there. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
what about you, Leigh? What are you going for, Leigh?
Oh, I love the, since it's Girl Scout cookie time, those, the ones that have the peanut butter, but they're chocolate and it has the cookie in there too, the tagalongs.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one for me.
Yeah.
And then as far as the beverages, anything wet usually. So whiskey, water, wine, whatever is wet.
Hey, we might have to include her in a couple of bourbon calls there, Angelo.
That would be delightful.
That would be delightful.
Oh man. So and do you have another one, Angelo? That was it.
No, I'm hungry now.
Okay, he's hungry. Usually, you had 2 or 3 you rattled off last time. We didn't get with Michael with any on the last one though. We let him off easy, man.
We'd have had to do a part 4 if we had asked him one more question.
Oh,
well, I'll tell you,
geez.
peanut M&Ms are his vice, in case you didn't.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah.
That's good. Maybe we could, I don't know, maybe have him find some in his boots when he puts his foot in there at Masters next fall. That'd be interesting. I wouldn't want to be the person getting caught doing that though.
You didn't hear it here. That's for sure.
I just hear any practical joke you play at Michael. I just see that coming back tenfold. I mean, worse than Matt Boyd. It's going to come back like really bad. Like, you do something on Don and he's going to have to go ask Karen if you can do it. Is this okay if I do, hon? But like Matt Boyd, just like it's all out, and I could see Michael being even worse. I don't know. It's like a national team thing. How much can they outdo somebody else? It's crazy. So, but thanks, ladies. Let's hope some folks get into that to the virtual summit. I think it's going to be pretty huge. The Women on the Mountain, Women Belong on the Mountain report is amazing. I've had the pleasure of being able to go through all of it. When are our members, or when will that be out? At some point, will it be out in the form I've seen it?
I think the links are coming out in this next issue of 32 Degrees. And,
awesome.
I think there's a short article in there. So, and that should be out soon.
Because there's some amazing stats in there and information. I mean, that was a really huge return of 45%. Because I mean, what do our usual surveys get? We're lucky if they're 10. Yeah. So,
yeah,
I mean,
and we're talking, we
lucky.
sent it out to almost 10,000 members. It was like 9,200 members. So 45% return on that is incredible, actually. And just while I'm thinking of this, I just wanted to thank, on behalf of WIT, all of the women members that actually took the time to fill out that report, that survey. Not they didn't fill out the report, we did, based on what they said in the survey. Yeah. But just to be so thoughtful and take the time to, give us the information, just how caring and excited that they were to just have their voice heard. And we just need to ball forward. All of us do.
Yeah. Well, I know Angelo and Angelo, I definitely will back me up in this, that we welcome you guys back anytime to give a report on the summit, the virtual one, and also to hopefully, as we move towards the fall, I would hope, I mean, I've said it out there. I think we've said it before, Angelo and I have, that hopefully, like you said, this isn't just, we thought of these things 20 years ago, some of them, we need to keep moving this forward. So hopefully we can see some change, and hopefully we'll be doing some things as we move into the fall here in the East to keep this going when the report comes out and after the virtual. And then absolutely we got the 2022 next year Summit on Snow, which is going to be killer. Absolutely.
Yeah. And honestly, thanks so much to both of you for allowing for us to have the platform to be able to talk about this. This is exactly how we are going to move the needle. And, we thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to give this legs.
Yeah, absolutely. Both of you have an open invitation to jump on, give us a call.
Well, I
know both of you have our numbers.
I appreciate you two bringing a level of class and sophistication to this podcast that it normally doesn't have.
Normally does not have. No,
only one swear word, and I can't believe it was me. I was putting money down it was going to be somebody else.
Yeah, did you look back at the Boyds when we had the Boyds on? It was really bad. We had a couple extra bourbons, I think, that night.
I really held off on not having any liquor until, just because I wanted to make sure I could. After that head staff thing, when I had a glass of wine or two, and I was like talking.
Oh,
yeah. And I was like, I'm drinking wine, people. And I'm just going to tell you what I think. So I just decided to hold off on this time.
Well, but the follow-up show, though, it's going to be boozy.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be great. Thanks a lot, everybody, for listening to the Fall Line with Cass and Company.
Thanks.